Hello and welcome to Cherry Hills. It is Big Bud Day in Cherry Hills. We are going to be purchasing some new equipment from the new DLC, the Big Bud DLC. So I've kind of pulled this down this morning and we are going to kick off with a little bit of not a full review of the DLC, but we're going to pick some equipment that we're going to use on Cherry Hills. So here we are in the store, and we're going to purchase one of the Big Bud DLC tractors. We're going to buy one of the 747s. This is just to give you the stats of this. This is a £780 per day maintenance fee. It is 1100 horsepower, 809 kilowatts. Has a 3,785 litre fuel tank. Has a top speed of 18 miles an hour. Just to show you the options on this, you just have the wheel set up here. So standard is probably going to be single wheel, twin wheels, triple wheels. I'm not sure which one we're going to buy yet. I think we're probably going to go with either a standard or a twin. The other tractor in the pack is the 750. So the Big Bud 750, that's a £620 per day, and it is a 500 horsepower, 368 kilowatt, 2,000 litre fuel tank, 18 mile an hour vehicle, and there are no upgrades on this. So essentially, you just get it as it comes. We're probably not going to get one of these. We will take a look. We'll be doing a separate mod review of the pack. But for the moment, we won't be getting one of these for the farm. So let's have a look at some of the other equipment we're going to buy first off. So the Big Bud DLC adds plows, seeders, cultivator. It also adds a manure spreader, and it also adds an auger. Now we're going to actually only get from the DLC for the farm here in Cherry Hills. We're going to get a cultivator and we're going to get a seeder. We don't necessarily need the manure spreader. Basically, the manure spreader essentially adds a 70,000 litre capacity, and we actually, we do okay with the Strockman that we already have. So we don't necessarily know going to use this, and to be honest, it needs a big tractor to pull it because it's a huge looking trailer. When it comes to the auger wagon as well, let's see, where is the auger wagon? The auger wagon is a 53,000 litre tank, and again we use this Krone, which is a big variant, so it's not really needed. If we look at the plows that are available, the actual plow that the pack adds is this one here. It's a 10 meter working width. We use one of these, this all-rounder plow, and it's a 14 meter working width. So we actually don't need this one either. However, the cultivator. Now there are two essential cultivators added in the pack. The first is this Swifter SM 1800. Actually, there's three. There's this Cultiplow Platinum 8 meter, which I believe is a plough cultivator. I'm not sure, but it's an 8 meter variant. It's not wide enough for what we want. It might be useful on other farms, but for us, it's not necessarily ideal. This guy here, the Swifter SM 1800, it's an 18 meter working width. That potentially would be good for us, but this guy, the Flexi Coil cultivator, is a 24 meter working width, and we're actually going to get one of these. And what I'm doing currently is I'm preparing field 10 with manure, and if that is actually ready, we will actually cultivate that field with one of these in this session. So we'll at least start it anyway. So we'll probably get to look at this one. We will be buying one of these, and we're going to run this with one of our Challenger 800 customs, because essentially they'll be able to pull it. It's a £50 a day maintenance cost, a 500 horsepower 368 kilowatt requirement for the vehicle to pull it. It's a 24-meter working width and a 10-mile-an-hour speed. So we should be able to run that with the equipment we've got. The seeder, this is an interesting one. So these are those sort of standard seeders we've got, and then these are the new ones. So the Terminator TH18 is a new seeder. It's an 18-meter working width, and this actually requires this TH14 to go with it. This carries the seed, and it carries 14,000 litres. And the idea is you connect it up to the pair of these together, and you will then essentially pull both. This seeder actually is a direct seed, so we don't need to cultivate the field. However, we will cultivate the field beforehand before we use this, and we're probably going to use this on field 3. We're going to actually get a different seeder, but we're going to actually do that. We're going to show this on field 5, but we're actually probably going to use it on a couple of the fields. The other option here we have is this Great Plains seeder. Now I cannot pronounce that, the Austrian one there, the Terminator. That one actually does the sort of standard fruit types plus things like oats and wheats. It doesn't do the root crops at all. The seed trailer, this guy, actually takes everything. This guy takes does a few of the sort of standard seeds like wheat and barley and canola and soybeans, but it also does corn and sunflower and sugar beets. It doesn't do potatoes. This guy here, this is the guy we're actually going to buy. We're going to get this XL toolbar 84 foot. This is a 25.6 meter width seeder. It's an £800 a day maintenance cost. It requires 640 HP or 471 kilowatts to actually pull the thing. I say it has got a 25 meter working width. It's a 9 mile an hour working speed, and it takes you kind of standard fruits of the kind of grain varieties, and then you've got the oats, the rye, the spelt, and so on. Like the Terminator, it's a seeder and fertilizer, and requires this separate trailer. It requires this 980 air cart trailer. This basically is the thing that carries the seed. So these two things work together. So we're going to need a big tractor to pull this, and we're going to use the big Bud 747 that we're going to buy to pull this. So that's what we're going to use that for. So that's what we're going to buy. So we're actually we're going to do that now. So let's get the 747. Let's get the twin wheel variant, which is the default. It doesn't cost any more. It's a £405,000 purchase. So let's get that. Now let's grab the seeder and the cultivator. Actually, sorry, we'll just go and grab the tractor for the cultivator as well. So we're going to get one of these. These are our custom 800 series Challengers. It's got more than enough horsepower to pull the actual cultivator, so we'll use that. What we'll do as well, so let's grab the cultivator that we're going to buy. So we are getting the flexi coil, the ST 820, and let's purchase that. So we're going to spend a bit of money today on equipment, and let's get the sewing machine. So again, let's purchase that. So we're going to get the Seed Hawk, and we're going to use that on. We're going to test out the Seed Hawk on field 5. So we're going to get this with let's get this with the twin wheels. I mean, it doesn't necessarily matter, but this is a big piece of equipment. Okay, So here we are on the farm. All of the stuff's up actually at the store, but what we're going to do is we're actually going to take so we are actually going to need to fill this up with seed and so on. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to reset these to the farm, have them delivered to the farm yard, and we're going to set them up and we're going to take them from there. Even though we have to really kind of take the seed up to seed 5, it would have been easier to go from here, but you know, we've got to fill the guy up, and it's a lot of seed, and we've got seed and fertilizer on the actual farm. So we're actually manuring field 10. So that's the field that we're going to cultivate. We'll let that get a little bit further on before we actually go and cultivate that, but let's make a start on field 5 with the seeder first. We'll set everything up here on the yard, and then we will take it to the relevant location. So first off, let's do this guy first. So let's pull the tractor down here, and then we want the we actually what we want to do is we want to pull down the relevant piece of equipment to go with the thing. So let's get the sorry, pardon me, the cultivator down here. So here we are. This is the first kind of look at the cultivator, the FlexiCoil ST820. It looks big. It kind of looks like a massive, well, it looks huge actually. So let's get our funky looking Challenger. This guy is the guy that's going to pull it. He should literally be able to just hook onto this guy. He looks kind of small actually behind this. The Challenger that we're using is actually kind of small, but he's actually got a bit of beef to him, so he looks absolutely dwarfed by this piece of equipment. Let's take this up to the field. We're going to do this on field 10. We're not going to start this just yet, but we're going to, what we'll do is we'll just put him in place, and we'll actually just see how big he is in terms of the cultivator. We'll open him up, you know, see what the working with looks like, and I mean, as a piece of equipment, it's actually really quite large. I'm almost scared to think if he's going to get through some of these gates, to be honest. This is actually kind of annoying. We clipped that and it just kind of so messed us up. So yeah, this is huge. Those gates looked like it wasn't going to go through. Okay, let's take him to the corner of the field that we're going to start when we come to do the plough on this field, and let's just see what he looks like first off. We won't start the plough because I want the manure spreader to actually do a little bit more. So I'm actually going to sort of place him down about here, and let's just open this guy up. So we'll unfold the cultivator. It looks pretty good as we unfold. There we go, various stages, and that is a big ass cultivator. It just sort of unfurls as we go out. Yep, that is huge. Just out of interest, let's fire up GPS mod and actually have GPS mod show us the working width. Yep, that's a big ass sort of thing. So we're actually not bad, but we do actually need to sort of move over if we're going to plough this field. So we would actually need to kind of be a little further over to actually do this properly. But as I say, this is a huge piece of equipment. So yeah, this is an interesting piece of kit. I say this is going to make ploughing some of these big fields, cultivating some of these big fields actually so much easier because it is very wide and can basically cover a lot of ground. So we're just gonna fold this guy up again. So let's just watch him fold. We will kind of get back to this one to start the actual to do this actual field, but that thing just looks like a big mess of it is just so huge. It's actually kind of, it does actually open up in a really kind of interesting manner. I want to get past the back of this without actually hitting it. Okay, we've kind of got ourselves tangled up in our New Holland. We have so got ourselves hooked in this New Holland. Just move that out of the way. So yeah, so we're gonna just, I was just gonna reset ourselves a little bit, just so that we can do this a little bit better later on. We can be a little bit straighter, as it were, because this guy is so big. I really don't want to miss any of the field on me and fill and pull. Anyway, let's go back to the yard, and then we will look at pulling down the big bud. So that's the next guy that we're going to pull down. Let's just sort of get ourselves set up when we pull him from the actual store. So the big bud is going to be our first pull. Here we go. Oops. Oh, and we actually got in him, not actually reset him. So we actually wanted to reset him. So here we are. This is the big bud tractor. He is huge. We only got the twin wheel variant, but the twin wheel variant is big. We look at, he's a seriously big tractor. It's got some big hoses on the back. We had 10 minutes to hook him up. Get inside, just have a quick look. We do need to pull this forward, so let's just have a look at this from inside. Lots of elements to this, big moving parts and so on. He does look pretty mean and badass. Let's have a look inside the cockpit. We've got a very old looking TV, kind of interesting interior. You have to understand that basically this actual interesting thing about this tractor. This actual tractor, the actual real Big Bird 747, was built in 1977. So some of the equipment inside this is not actually what would have been in there, because the original actually had an 8-track radio, and it still does. So the radio that's there is not right. It's a cassette player, not an 8-track. So there's certain things in here which are not necessarily of the right vintage, we should say. But this is kind of very much a minimal style. As we kind of did some DLC, some mod reviews of Big Bud tractors, this one is very in keeping with the minimal ones. So let's just, whoops, I kind of got stuck on him then. Now let's pull down the cedar. It's the first part of the cedar, so we don't want that one. We actually want its buddy. We want this bit. So we're going to reset this guy. We're doing a little trick here. So we basically, I'm just going to reverse this up and hook him in. This should spawn back in roughly the same place. So let's get this guy hooked up. The yard, I don't know if the yard's going to be big. This is a really big piece of kit. As we can see, this is a massive cedar. This is absolutely huge. Attach this. Let's just draw this forward a little bit, so we can basically, we don't want to draw it too far because we're going to basically get the seed trailer and pull him to the spot just behind, so we can just hook them up kind of easily. So, okay, so that actually didn't work as I kind of wanted them to. So that seed trailer's down there somewhere. This guy is just out. This is huge. We kind of want, annoyingly, they're not lined up, and this is going to be fun, I think. Let's see if we can get these hooked up, because this is going to be challenging. I really don't. It's one of those things that basically is not going to be easy. I hate articulated vehicles, I really do. So I'm going to make a fool of myself reversing this, so I'm hoping that I knife it just right, so that basically I don't miss. It's just so hard to see round back there. It really is. Kind of lined up, but they're too far away. Yes! Result. So, now we've got to go and fill this. So, this is a massive tractor. It's like a... If you just look at that, I'm scrolling back now to actually see if I can basically get all of it in shot from behind, and it is really difficult. I don't want to fill it up from there because it probably costs a fortune, but what I'm going to do is we have our I'm hoping we can fill from these. If we can fill from these, that's awesome. I may have to move this combine out of the way. Actually, correction, I will need to move the combine out of the way, because the combine quite literally is in the middle of the road, and it is essentially blocking the big bird tractor. So this is going to be kind of fun. So I want to get us started to see before we actually have the time up. I'm just wondering, can we get this underneath here? Okay, so this is fertilizer. So let's fill up the fertilizer. We've got enough fertilizer. This guy's got a big storage. If memory serves, it's a huge fertilizer storage capacity. We can actually open the fertilizer tank with the X key. Can look in. Oh, wow, that's actually kind of interesting. It's actually we didn't have to do that to do the start, but that's how this actually fills up. That's actually kind of funky. So this is filling up from the Silo Master in a different way, but the actual animations of this is actually quite cool. So it's got almost like a little built-in overload auger type thing to kind of pick up the seed from where you drop it. So you would essentially take a truck full of fertilizer to the field, and you tip it through the little grain door in the truck, and that will basically then fill the seed hawk at the back. I'm guessing when we come to do the seed, essentially it will do the same thing. We've got, so this is 8,000. It's kind of filling up, but it's not full yet. Trying to see what does this actually tell us what? So we're 62% on fertilizer full, so you know it's getting there, but it is taking its time. So we've got enough fertilizer to actually sort of fill this up, and that's cool. Let's. So this is going to be pretty handy. It's a very big capacity, but this is a huge train. You can just look at that. That's just, you know, this is going to be a challenge on some fields to turn around. I don't know how we're going to actually achieve this. We will have to do We'll have to do some nice big headlands. So it's going to take some practice to figure out what we're going to do with this. It is in itself, it is a massive piece of equipment. Just, you know, the working width on this. Let's open up the seed tank. So yeah, the thing does essentially move to the seed tanks like that. And if we move to our seed, which is just here, effectively we do seed start. And essentially we have the same sort of system. It kind of has a little conveyor which fills up the seed. So we are still feeding the seed tank here. It is taking its time. It's 40% full. What shall we place in that field? Well, when we were looking, and we were sort of when we were talking on our previous episode, we were basically thinking that we're going to put essentially one of the seeds that we've not actually planted before. So what I'm thinking is we will actually put I think oats on this field. So we'll try it out with oats. So if we can select the seeds, once this is finished, we will actually put on oats. Now, this is quite an amazing piece of kit. So you know, we're all connected up, and you can just see there all the cabling and seed drilling sort of elements. It is actually quite an extraordinary piece of kit. There's just so much here, and this is a 24-meter working width seeder. So effectively, it will make seeding some of these large fields probably pretty quick. And we're using a huge tractor here just because, well, it is a huge piece of kit and it does require quite a hefty pulling weight. And we could theoretically pull this with one of our challengers, or we could just about actually put it with one of our challengers. We could also pull it with one of our special 800s, so the 900s, 970s, or the 975, sorry, or the special 800s. So we're full of seed. Let's kind of make a move. Let's just close the tank. How do we... Oh, it's all closing up and all folding up. That's really quite cool. We're all full of seed and fertilizer. Our little, essentially our road train is basically, this tractor is essentially going to go up to field 5. I'm just wondering how the hell we get up there. This is the kind of vehicle that basically is going to take all of the road. I have a sneaky feeling we will take all of the road, so we don't want any traffic. I'm pretty sure this will not fit through the silo, by the way. I think this tractor will not fit through one of Stevie's silos. It's, you know, touch and go on some of these gates, to be honest. It's very tight. Whoa, this is going to be interesting. Yeah, this takes up the full width of the road. So just to kind of be sure, this guy takes the full width of these roads. There is no way oncoming traffic is getting past you, so this is going to be something we're going to have to bear in mind in future, is that basically we cannot, we're going to have to keep an eye out for traffic, make sure we are not getting in the way of oncoming vehicles, because we will not get past. We will not be able to overtake anyway, but to be fair, our top speed is 20 miles an hour, so it isn't particularly quick. So we won't be doing much overtaking in this guy. This is a huge, huge tractor. We're just looking at this on the fields. So we will be releasing this episode today. I.e. this is Big Bud Day. This is the launch day. We have other episodes which will come out after this, and that are actually filmed before this episode. Just so people are aware, because this is the DLC we're using today, and I kind of wanted to get out a release of us using it on the farm on the day of release. This is, wow, I am amazed at the speed. I mean, even the trailer is the width of the, actually the trailer is wider than the actual tractor. That is staggering. It's a big piece of kit, and it's actually got up to 33 miles an hour as we go down the hill a bit, but the top speed of this isn't actually that high. Its sort of native top speed is about 20 miles an hour. So the down, you know, the sheer size of this thing basically is meaning that it's going to pick up a bit of speed. So we are going to make this turn now. I'm going to have to try and figure out if we can actually make this easier than enough. We should. So the entrance to this field is pretty big, so that's good. This is field 5. We prepared this a couple of days ago, actually a couple of episodes ago. We did this on, I think we did this actually on a live stream. So here we are. First off, let's select our seed. We are going to do oats, and let's unfold this sower, and see, we can just watch this guy open up. Wow, this is huge. This is really big. I'm kind of wondering if the AI is going to be able to handle this beast. To be honest, it is absolutely massive. And I actually think we might have placed this okay. Let's have a look at GPS, the GPS, and see if the GPS actually what it reckons to it. Yep, the GPS we did pretty well on the positioning. I hate to sort of reverse this guy, to be honest, because this is like double jackknife territory. We've basically got two levels of jackknife on here. So let's get this in place. So shall we? We'll make a start. We're going to do this a little bit of this just to see how the actual seed width goes. Actually. So we should be able to go now. We're going to lower that sower. We're going to turn on that sower, and then we're going to make a start. And just see how this guy fares. I mean, this is huge. This is huge. It's not quick. but this guy is huge. And I mean, the width of this is absolutely obscene. I mean, there's a 24-meter width. This is double the cedar width of, I think actually it's not quite double, but it's pretty close to double the cedar width of our kind of cedars we're using at the moment. I think they're either 12 or 15. I can forget exactly what they are, the biggest cedar we use. But this guy is huge. It's truly huge, but it's also really, it's actually kind of slow moving. Just take a close look up at this guy as he moves along. It does look pretty impressive. A big bud. Pop some lights on. Only really got two levels of lights, but it is a big boy. And just looking back here, look at the seed hawk working away. This is, say, a massive piece of kit. What have we got in here? Williams Brothers, Big Sandy, Montana, Robert and Randy. These are the actual guys that own the current one, I think, or at least owned it at some point. For the current owners, or the owners of it at one point in its history. But this is the Big Bud 747. It is a beast. Let's pop the hood back on and just see how we're doing. We are almost coming to the end of a line, and we've done. So what we're probably going to do is actually going to see how this turns actually when we get to the end. I would be intrigued to see how Helper fares with this piece of equipment. So I might just switch to the thing, because I know I'm not going to do particularly well with this, because it is huge. We've got to essentially turn and do a line with this guy, and it's going to be hard work. I know, I'm just trying to think actually, when we actually do this, we may have to use headlands on this field, even though this field is huge and it's got a good width on it already. I think we might actually need, with this piece of equipment, need to do a headland. So we'll have a look, see what we've got here. We've lifted that. Yeah, this is going to be fun, turning this sucker. Really is going to be interesting. We've kind of got, what have we got it stuck on now? Yeah, it's stuck on a tree, and almost, yeah. So this is going to be fun. This is a fun piece of kit. It's going to be hard work no matter what we do. This, it is literally a huge piece of kit. The actual seed capacity is massive there, and the fertilizer. Yeah, we're running this on one field. I'm just I want to do a couple of lines with this just to see how it works. It also gives me an idea that basically we are going to have to do headlands on this with this thing. So we do one headland across each end. It should give us enough allowing it to turn, I think. We need to see what it's like on this other end. I'm pretty sure that this other end is going to be the same problem. but this guy is big. I put four-wheel drive on actually. Just to kind of notice the rear wheels appeared to be slipping a little bit there, which is kind of intriguing. There is a little. This is an actual incline. That's the other thing to remember about this is we actually have an incline here. So we do have, we have quite a beast of a piece of equipment, and the working width on this is impressive, and it's certainly going to make some work on the farm very easy, because essentially we've done in these 2 lanes we've effectively done the equivalent of 4 lanes with the wider seeder we've been using up to date, probably in about the same amount of time. On top of that, if we use a Pronto 9, which is a 9 metre working width, we have literally done 4. I've actually probably done 5 actually, if widths worth of. And the other one will probably, we've definitely done a lot more work with these 2 poles essentially over what we've done with previous pieces of equipment. So it's going to be interesting to see how this works sort of in the long term when we come to doing the fields here. This is the tricky bit. We're just going to see how it fares on this far end, but I'm actually thinking for sort of safety's sake in the future, what we might actually just do now is actually run a headland so that we can finish this with a worker and see how it fares. As you can see, it is pretty hefty piece of kit. Yeah, we're definitely going to need to do a headland actually. I'm just eyeballing that, and it looks like we would have issues turning. So I'm actually going to lift this up. Yeah, that's going to be. We're going to have fun turning this guy. I think we're going to have fun turning this guy to do a headland, to be honest. Let's get this set up for a headland. We want to reset GPS mod to give us a width. Work on GPS. And we've kind of done this, but we're essentially pathfinding on this field at the moment, just to figure out how we're going to use this equipment here, because it is new, it is big, it's bigger than what we're used to, so we kind of need to sort of figure out how we're going to turn and everything else. I think one headland might do it. We can try it with one headland. What I might do is essentially go to the end here and then do a sort of east-west kind of stroke to the bottom and then go up. Now we kind of do a square, and then once we get there we can actually then do the kind of final push. So I'm just going to kind of push this over a bit because this has got a curve. And we kind of want to keep to the curve. we're going to turn around now. Oops. This is so big and heavy almost. Yeah, turning here from any kind of turning here is going to be fun. We're on a hill as well, though. That's the other added complication, as it were. We're on a hillside. The angle and everything is fun. So let's get this guy set here. We're going to run this down to the end, and then we will actually have to do the bottom headland. This is actually kind of interesting. It's quite a field. We're slightly longer than normal episode, but we're testing out the big bud, so we're kind of seeing how it works out. This is an interesting piece of kit that we are definitely going to have some interesting fun with when it comes to sort of on the farm. It's going to make some of the jobs easier. The sheer size of this equipment basically means we can do things in a larger scale. We've got big fields on Cherry Hills, and having some big equipment to actually help us with that will improve things. This is, I say, it's a big piece of kit. It's gonna, if for instance with this field, for instance, and using it on this field, this is a 40 odd hectare field. I think it's actually 40, it could be a little bit bigger. It's a big field. It's not as big as field 3, but field 3's, we're going to use this on field 3 as well. I'm pretty certain through our experience here what we will need to do with field 3 is we will need to do a headland on the top near the farm, because this will not turn in that space between the top of the field and the bottom of the fence of the yard. So we will have to do a headland there, maybe 2, and we will maybe need to do one at the bottom of the field as well. Actually, I think we pretty certainly need to do one at the bottom of the field. That will basically cover off any issues there. The top sort of section of the field are kind of a little bit that kind of sticks out. That guy, again, we could essentially do that with horizontal passes, and I think we'd be fine. The only way we can work with that field is literally do it top to bottom with a couple of headlands just below the farmyard. Because this, as I say, this has a huge turning circle. Our little activities here have just proven how difficult it is to turn. This has got a lot of space here to turn. However, this is probably twice the length of a normal cedar arrangement to make a turn. This, I think, will have issues on field 10. At the top of field 10, we've had issues with even the smaller cedars where they will literally fall off the cliff. This will not work. So we'll have to stick to our current arrangements for those, because this I don't think will work so well. So the turn here is good as long as you can actually turn in the right kind of pretty quickly after you get to the end of the field, I think. If you go too far on, you will not be able to turn. So let's reset GPS mod and get our track set. I think the top of this field is pretty straight, so we don't need to worry about it curving at all. We're essentially just doing a square on this headland. What we'll do is when we get to the far end, we will turn around we'll set ourselves up for another vertical pass, and we'll set off a helper at that point and see how the helper goes. We've done some work to get things. We haven't used a huge amount of seed as well. We've used barely scratched the surface of the fertilizer, but we've used 13% seed in what we've done so far. So I'm actually fairly confident that this will actually be able. We could theoretically seed the entire field from one seed kind of load. We did two lines horizontally that way and a third coming up to the back here. We've done 2 horizontal, so that's essentially we've kind of done quite a bit of seed. We should definitely we could probably definitely be okay on the seed front. So we're just going to do this to this sort of end here. We'll turn around. I'll actually use the great thing about basically let's go. Let's see what we want. We're going to basically try and make use of most of this to kind of get this turn. So we should have enough now in terms of headland. We'll find out shortly actually if we do need more headland, because essentially this will very quickly show us when we get to the end here with the helper how much space this takes. We've set the helper off now. We're just going to watch the helper and see how he handles the big bud. You can see the trailer's trailing behind, and that's kind of leaving tracks and things. We know we're not going to damage any crop at this stage. That kind of trailer is huge. It really is pretty huge. So I just wanted to check something here, because we are doing some slurry cultivating, and I wanted to check we do need to deal with the animals today. I'm going to change this to the cow slurry tank now. Although we're pretty close, we've still got 400,000 litres. We need to switch tanks. This is, I say, it's a very interesting piece of equipment. I think the seeder for us is going to be pretty useful on Cherry Hills, as we can see. It's making short work of this field. We haven't been doing it that long. This is actually quite a long episode. We're an hour long actually now, roughly. We won't actually get to. I'll just take a look at the map and see. This guy's actually pretty close to finishing, so we will actually probably take a quick look at this. We'll set this guy off, and actually we probably won't actually get to, yeah, we won't have time I think to show you the cultivator in this episode. I think I might save that for a live stream. So once I've finished with this episode, I will be I'll be editing and putting it live as soon as I can. So by the time you actually get to this point in the video, you will actually have watched most of the video already. and I would have already done this because you're watching it. But essentially I wanted to get this out today, on the day of release of the DLC. I know a lot of people have been streaming it overnight, and it has been available to some people, but I didn't actually get it through on Steam until today, essentially. So let's just see how this guy progresses. He is there. That headland has helped, certainly helped. I have no idea how is he going to do this. Wow. Yeah, that headland has actually helped. The headland is an important element. Wow, yeah, that is. 2 headlands probably would have actually been better, but yes, the headland is a key requirement, I think, for this. So with that, I'm going to leave you with a rolling screenshot of the Big Bird DLC. Thank you for watching so far. I know this was a long episode today, but I just wanted to kind of get an episode of using the new seeder, get it all set up and purchased, and a little bit of a run through of the equipment for the new DLC. This is the Big Bud 747 towing a Seedhawk, I forget the model number, and the Seedhawk trailer. We are on field 5 of Cherry Hills, and it's making short work. We're running with our helper at the moment, and it does work. You just have to make sure you've got headlands, and this guy will basically be able to knock out those fields in no time. So with that, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, please hit the like button, and if you want to see more of this series, hit the subscribe button. And with that, thank you and goodbye.